EFCC boss Ibrahim Magu alleges state governor's complicity in failed violence. Dutch court rules in favor of wives of slain Ogoni leaders. In international news, Venezuela's security chief breaks ranks with President Maduro. And in sport, Nigeria to engage Zimbabwe, Senegal in friendlies for AFCON 2019.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. The presidency says there are false rumors circulating that government operations and projects could be grounded because of delay in passing the 2019 budget by the National Assembly. Special advisor to the president on National Assembly matters, Senator Ita Enang, says there was money to spend till June drawn from the 2018 Appropriation Act. The president signed the 2018 Appropriation Act in June last year. Meanwhile, the Senate passed the 9 trillion naira 2019 budget on Tuesday. Acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ibrahim Magu, has blamed state governors for the increasing spate of insecurity in their state. Magu says some of the governors deliberately fuel insecurity in their state to collect more money as security votes. Magu also alleged that there was a link between corruption, banditry and terrorism. Magu made these allegations at the induction program for returning and newly elected state governors held in Abuja. His allegations were contained in a paper he presented at the program on insecurity and terrorism. Magu told the session a debate on the legality of security votes enjoyed by the governors was ongoing, but he refrained from joining the fray. A Dutch court has ruled in favor of 4 Nigerian women who sued oil giant Shell for its alleged role in the unlawful arrest, detention and execution of their husbands by the Nigerian military. The killings occurred in 1995 during the regime of the late military dictator Sani Abacha. Shell, which was extracting oil from Ogoni, had argued that the District Court of The Hague lacked jurisdiction to entertain the suit. The court also ruled that Shell should hand over some confidential internal documents to the plaintiff's lawyer, Mark Dumit. Head of the Business and Human Rights and Amnesty International says this is an important precedent for other victims around the world who are seeking to hold powerful corporations to account and who struggle to access justice. Shell might now face questioning in a court of law about what they knew and how they contributed to this horrifying event in Nigerian history. National Human Rights Commission has confirmed that 523 children are detained in various prisons in Anambra State. Human Rights Commission coordinator in the state, Nkechi Ugwuanyi, visited the Onitsha prisons in commemoration of this year's African Pre-Trial Day. Ugwuanyi says the discrimination of petty offences is expected to reduce the challenges the pre-trial detention poses to the prison system and the society. Deputy Controller of Onitsha Prisons, Jerry Mazi, called for alternative punishment for juveniles that have committed petty offences instead of locking them up in prison. He recommended the construction of correctional centres with facilities for erring juveniles in the southeast. Ekiti State former governor, who is also an APC chieftain, Segun Oni, has been suspended indefinitely from the party over alleged anti-party activities. The party said it took the action over Oni's failure to appear before the party's panel to answer to allegations against him. Oni's problem with the party began last year when he sued Governor Kayode Fayemi after the APC governorship primary. He had challenged Fayemi's emergence as candidate and his eligibility to participate in the election. He has also claimed that Fayemi was not qualified to contest, alleging that he had been found guilty of certain offences and banned from holding public office for 20 years by a judicial panel of inquiry set up by former Governor Ayo Fayose. Coming up, African stories. Cyclone Kenneth batters Mozambique. And later, international news. Venezuela's security chief breaks ranks with President Maduro, highest-ranked security official to do so.
You are watching ANN.
This used to be me. But that was before I got the perfect bag. It's handy and easy to use. All I need in one compact space, just like my MTN Extra Value plan. I used to get one plan for my calls and then try to remember which data plan worked for me. Roaming was a totally different ballgame. Not anymore. I've got the MTN Extra Value all-in-one plan. If you're a data buff like me, you get extra data with some talk time. And if you like to make calls, you get extra talk time with some data. And when I'm abroad, I automatically browse, chat, and call right on the same plan. MTN Extra Value was made just for me.
More of data or calls, whichever one you prefer. MTN Extra Value is made just for you.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to stories around Africa. So much has been happening in South Sudan for some time. Many social structures have been rocked and instability appears to stare the government in the face if unchecked. It could turn out to be devastating and a destabilizing force. The government seems to have recognized that and has expressed worry. Patrick Hoyet reports.
Sudan and South Sudan both depend on oil revenues to fund large parts of their budgets. South Sudan is a landlocked country. It uses Port Sudan in Sudan to take its oil to international market, and the revenue is shared between the two countries. South Sudan's government says its oil production is currently 175,000 barrels per day, and it's aiming at increasing production to about 360,000 barrels a day by the end of the year. More than 98% of the country's budget is financed by money from the sale of oil. 4 months of protests in Sudan toppled former President Omar al-Bashir, and for several days now, essential chemicals needed for the extraction of oil in South Sudan have not been reaching the country.
We are brothers and sisters. We are actually one community in two countries. This oil belongs to all of us, belongs to the people of Sudan and South Sudan, and we must make sure that it is not interrupted, because this is the lifeline of our people.
South Sudan's President Salva Kiir has offered to mediate between the various conflicting groups in Khartoum to ensure a quick and smooth transition. For now, as protests continue in Sudan, Juba remains concerned about how it can make sure the flow of oil isn't disrupted.
The aftermath of Cyclone Kenneth in Mozambique has been devastating. 8 flights were grounded on Tuesday and operations interrupted for a third day as a result of continued torrential rain that has killed at least 41 persons. Authorities said the damage is massive and death toll may rise. Some of the worst hit communities were reported cut off with limited supplies. UN World Food Programme spokeswoman Deborah Wan says her organization is particularly worried about people on IBO Island who had little food and were in open after most homes were destroyed. It is the first time on record 2 powerful storms had hit the southern African country in such a short space of time. The devastation caused by Cyclone Idai and Kenneth has not stopped creative energy in the southern African country of Mozambique. As people reel from the destructive effects of the natural disasters, a tech company was busy putting together an app that would help job seekers link with employment.
After recognizing the existing gap in the job market, Bishkate was created. The tech platform, whose name means odd jobs in Portuguese, was created to formalize the job market for those in the blue-collar sector in Mozambique.
Everywhere across Africa you go, you'll see a wooden board saying plumber, carpenter with a phone number. If they have a phone number, you can create a channel for them.
This presented an ideal platform to connect the skilled worker to the market.
This is a platform that connects smart devices to very basic mobile phones to the internet in a way that is very simple. Our only goal is to connect people. So we can go look for a carpenter, and we are in Maputo. So let's choose Maputo, and now we are in Maputo city. And once I dial in, it will open up our service. So what do you want to do? Do you want to register yourself as a worker? Option 1. Do you want to search for other workers? Do you want to look for your contacts, change the language, or know more about us?
Direct contact with the market and visibility has inspired the workers from various sectors to sign up.
Before Biscuit, it was hard to secure a job. I relied on word of mouth from one client to the next. Since I joined the platform, my business has expanded.
Bishkate hosts over 20,000 workers on its platform, revealing a market ready to absorb the best in the informal skilled sector.
The informal sector is huge here, but the problem is, because it's informal, the governments never understand the real size and how much this parallel economy really drives most of our country. The red part is the number of clients that requested that type of work. And what you see is that there's always more demand than there is the availability of workers.
And for the workers, excellent reviews from the clients ensure one has a steady rise in the competitive space.
My strategy for success is to be professional when I'm doing my job, and that way people will see the review and this improves my rating on the app.
So you have comments from people that already worked with them. You have how many times they were contacted, how many times they answered the phone, and this is the rating based on price, quality and timing.
7 years in, and the platform is expanding to absorb a growing number of workers keen to explore the informal employment sector. The unemployment issue stands as a great challenge to the development agenda in Mozambique. However, with the creation of technology platforms like Bishkate, those in the informal sector are able to engage their clients, market their skills, and secure employment.
Authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo and the United Nations have stepped up security operations for Ebola patients and healthcare workers after armed groups attacked treatment centers at the epicenter in Katwa and Butembo. A World Health Organization doctor was killed. Healthcare workers have now resumed treating patients following a 2-week halt in activities. DR Congo recorded 27 new cases of Ebola on Sunday, the highest number since the outbreak was declared in August. The Congolese health minister says insecurity has significantly reversed the gains they have made.
After such a security incident, the Ebola activities, especially contact tracing, vaccination, are suspended. So it leaves the disease time to spread in the community.
We are going to see an increase in the security coverage of the operation, but very much sensitive to the fact that we don't want to, if you like, obstruct and confront the people first with the military.
When we return, international news. Venezuela's security chief breaks ranks with President Maduro. And later, sport. Super Eagles prepare for friendlies against Zimbabwe, Senegal.
You are watching ANN.
Looking for some Disney magic but don't know where to find it? We've got a magical solution just for you. Simply go to DisneyNigeria.mobi and get an exciting selection of games, short videos, wallpapers, shareables, and more. Explore a whole new world of Disney on your mobile, tablet, or PC. For just 200 Naira monthly, you get to enjoy the fun to infinity and beyond. SMS Disney to 11006 to begin. Terms and conditions apply. This service is only available to MTN customers.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In news around the world, the head of Venezuela's feared secret police has turned his back on disputed President Nicolas Maduro in an open letter made public Tuesday night. Meanwhile, Maduro took to Venezuela's airwaves to proclaim that the uprising sparked by opposition leader Juan Guaido had been defeated. In a rambling address, Maduro said his regime had responded to the rebellion with nerves of steel, maximum serenity, and effective action, and claimed that the leaders of the uprising were under arrest and being questioned. Maduro said this cannot go unpunished and demanded that all of those involved must surrender. Manuel Ricardo Christopher Figueroa, head of the Bolivarian Intelligence Service, is the highest-ranking member of the country's security forces to break with Maduro since Guaido called for a military uprising Tuesday morning. Figueroa wrote in the letter that while he always had been loyal to Maduro, it was time to seek new ways of doing politics to try and rebuild the country. He said Venezuela had experienced a damaging decline. Israel came to a standstill on Thursday morning with a 2-minute siren wailing across the country in remembrance of the 6 million Jewish victims of the Holocaust. Pedestrians stood in place, buses stopped on busy streets, and cars pulled over on major highways. In homes and businesses, people stopped what they were doing to pay homage to the victims of the Nazi genocide, in which a third of war Jews were annihilated. A wreath-laying ceremony at the Yad Vashem Memorial followed with Israeli leaders and survivors in attendance. Other ceremonies, prayers and musical performances took place in schools, community centers and army bases around the country. The names of those who perished in the genocide are typically read aloud in parliament throughout the day. The annual remembrance is one of the most solemn in Israel's calendar. The Holocaust runs deep in Israeli public consciousness, and the state was established in 1948 as a place of refuge for Jews around the world. 3 years after the genocide ended with the conclusion of World War II, hundreds of thousands of survivors who had lost their families fled there and made it their home. Activists have said on Thursday hundreds of Muslim refugees in western Sri Lanka have been hiding in mosques and the police station after facing intimidation following the deadly Easter bombings. At least 359 persons died in Sunday's coordinated suicide blast, including more than 100 Christians attending Mass at St. Sebastian's Christian in Negombo on the island's west coast. Reporter Ravinda Bauer is there.
By hostility all around them, these refugee babies are comfortable in their new home. After the Easter Sunday attack in Sri Lanka, an unexpected conflict has erupted. In a backlash, about 1,000 refugees from Pakistan, Iran and Afghanistan living in asylum in Negombo had to vacate their rented accommodations.
Everyone they are saying that we can't give our home to anyone. To Pakistanis, Afghanis, we can't give our home on rent and all. And now we don't know where we will live.
We afraid that what will happen to my children. It is very difficult for us because we don't have anything to eat. We cannot go out to purchase something.
I was going down the street and a Sri Lankan man shouted at me in a different language and he started punching me. We left our bike and our helmets there and ran.
How would you feel if you escape your country because of the terrorists and come to another country like Sri Lanka to ask the people for a shelter, for love, and they treat you like you've been the reason for that tragedy?
The areas where refugees lived. No one was willing to speak to us except this man without revealing his identity.
That's a problem. I tell IS Muslim. That's a problem, you know.
Wahhabi.
That's why all people think Muslim.
Since the attack, this town with mixed ethnicity has been on the edge, and communal tension is building up.
This apprehension is that these incidents might continue to escalate unless we nip them in the bud right now. So I think that's why it's very important to address them right now in the first few days itself so that they don't get out of hand and they don't get widespread.
The religious leaders have identified the undercurrent. Candlelight vigils like these are being organized for peace and harmony. Easter Sunday attacks have been a big blow to the coexistence of refugees with the locals or Muslims with the Christians. Ethnic tensions are brewing in the country. Although appeals by religious leaders have been helpful, but more needs to be done for peace to prevail.
We move on now. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has been sentenced to 50 weeks behind bars for jumping bail in the UK in 2012. Assange skipped bail and stayed at the Ecuadorian embassy in London to avoid extradition to Sweden, where he was wanted on sexual assault allegations, which he has denied. He was arrested at the embassy in mid-April. In a letter read to the court, Assange apologized to those who believe he had disrespected them and said he had struggled in difficult circumstances. British judge Deborah Taylor handed him a sentence just under the maximum term for the offense, which was a full year, saying he displayed a disdain for the laws of the United Kingdom. next, sports. Super Eagles prepare for friendlies against Zimbabwe, Senegal. Stay with us.
You are watching ANN. Somewhere in the world, every second of the day, news is happening. And of course, Nigeria is bustling with news day and night. That is why ANN doesn't sleep. Our eyes are peeled, wide open, so no story escapes our radar. We stay abreast of world events and happenings at home. We keep you up to the minute in the world of sports. We give you information to stay on top of your investments and all the hard facts you'll need to navigate your day. If you miss us on air, you can keep up to date on our website, annafrica.net, and on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. We are ANN, Africa News Network. We do news right in a truly African spirit.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Adam, go and bring us your husband.
Okay, hello baby. We're in this together, okay? Can you hear me? Keep coming forward.
Wait, stop.
You okay, lean to your right. Keep walking down, keep walking to the left, yes?
You're almost here.
Keep going.
You are here. Wow, you did it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to use my cane to do this.
And I am so glad no other man got you before me. Let me be your eyes.
We will never stop working to give you a network you can rely on so you can enjoy life's special moments. MTN, everywhere you go.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In the world of sports, Nigeria Football Federation has confirmed Super Eagles' participation in the AFCON finals for the first time since their triumph in 2013. Nigeria will face Zimbabwe and Senegal to prepare for their 2019 Africa Cup of Nations campaign. Next month, Ghana Bros men will start their pre-AFCON camp in Asaba, where they will take on Zimbabwe at the Stephen Keshi Stadium on June the 8th. A day later, they will depart for Ismaila, Egypt for their final camp ahead of the tournament. The highest court in sport has ruled that regulations adopted by Track and Field's international governing body regarding women with high levels of testosterone are discriminatory but necessary to ensure fair competition in female athletes. South African track star Caster Semenya and Athletics South Africa asked the Court of Arbitration for Sport to overturn regulations by the International Association of Athletics Federation that pertain to female athletes with high level of testosterone. One of the events affected by the rule is the 800-meter race, an event won by Semenya at the 2012 and 2016 Olympic Games. Well, really, what could she have done? That's ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on this and other stories, visit our website, social media platforms, and join the conversation on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.